Being 7 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, has roll call been taken? All right. Move to adoption of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Any additions or corrections? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Fichet, authorization to pay bills.
Do we gotta approve the minutes, Your Honor? From,
Oh, I skipped over that. All right, yep. Approval of July 14th, 2020 council minutes.
So moved.
second.
Been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now we can authorize to pay bills.
Your Honor, I move to approve the authorization to pay bills in the amount of $835,994.41.
All right. Motion been made and seconded to pay the bills in the amount of $835, $835,000, $994.41. There we are. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No, a ballot.
Gotta be voted.
Ballot, got a ballot. It's moving on.
I prefer the earlier $835, but
Motion passed. All in favor. Any public input? Hearing none, we'll move on to standing and special committees, and we'll start with Mr. Barrington of Public
Okay.
Works.
Board of Public Works met Monday, August 3rd, 4:30. Motion made and seconded to approve the agenda. The next item up was wastewater treatment plant facility update. There are no concerns or questions on the monthly report. The next item on the agenda was to consider a request to adopt a wellhead protection plan ordinance for New London utilities. Mr. Bassett explained that the New London residents and surrounding areas depend on groundwater as a safe drinking water supply. Certain land use practices and activities threaten or degrade the groundwater quality. The purpose of the well water ordinance is to protect the future of the city of New London municipal water supply in areas from which city wells will draw water, and to promote public health, safety, and general welfare to the residents of the city and surrounding areas. This will be brought to council tonight. We had a discussion and possible action on ordinance designating ATV, UTV routes in the city of New London. Discussion took place regarding the creation of a draft ordinance designating ATV, UTV routes in the city of New London. Chief Sleater researched ordinances, including the communities of Platteville, Antigo, Rhinelander. After reviewing the information, it was decided to draft the city's ordinance after Rhinelanders, as it seemed to line up best for the city and complies with the current ordinance out of Gamey County ATV, UTV. Chief Sleater suggested next taking the draft ordinance to the city attorney for review. Motion made and seconded to take that, send it to the city attorney, motion passed. That's a work in progress. The next item was review and consider consolidation of brush and compost drop-off sites. Chad Hirth reported that the brush piles have been cleaned up at Floral Hill and behind Hatton Stadium, and asked the board's opinion about closing down the Floral Hill compost site to the public. Dumping site concerns are a lot of illegal dumping of garbage, construction materials, etc. at that place, and the city has to pay the dump fees and staff time to dispose of the garbage. The dump site alongside the wastewater treatment plant will remain open, and staff will haul brush out of that site as needed. Concerns were raised about spending too much staff time hauling brush. Mr. Hirth explained that the department will do this on a trial basis, evaluate the process. Consensus of the board was to proceed with this trial. No motion was needed at that time. The next item, consider agreements from McMahon and Associates for design work on North Water Street and Pearl Street. Mr. Hirth reviewed some of the details of a recent STP urban grant award to assist with the cost of North Water Street. The grant does not include work for Pearl Street. Another grant will be submitted for the Pearl Street project in the 2022 to 2027 STP urban grant cycle. The streets design proposals only include the design work for the roadway and storm sewer work. Sanitary sewer replacement costs are not eligible under this grant. This will be brought to council tonight. The next item was consider agreements from Archaeological Research Incorporated for Phase 1 archaeological investigation on North Water Street and Pearl Street. Chad Hirth explained that the STP urban grant has many strings attached, which is why the city needs to perform archaeological and historical surveys. Motion made and seconded to send this to council. This will be brought up tonight. The next was consider agreements from Heritage Research Limited for historical survey evaluation of North Water and Pearl Streets. Mr. Hirth clarified that the historical work is for a primary survey. Once determined if there are any historical buildings that may be implicated, additional work may need to be done to satisfy the grant requirements and prepare additional documents. Motion made and seconded to hire Heritage Research Limited for historical survey evaluation. That will be brought to council tonight. The director's memo was included in the agenda packet and reviewed by the committee. Service anniversary report, Ben Gruel has completed 20 years of service as of July 3rd. Luke Hammonds completed 5 years continuous service as of July 28th. Next month's agenda items is the ATV UT ordinance review, tour wastewater treatment plant facility. Meeting was adjourned at 5:15. I move to approve an ordinance for wellhead protection. I waive the rules and run this through on one reading.
I second that.
Motion been made and seconded to waive to ordinance to amend Charter 13 wellhead protection and to waive the rules to adopt it in one reading. Any further discussion?
Question. Why do we need to waive the rules?
So we can adopt.
I don't understand.
Yep, so we can adopt it tonight. We're waiving it. I would assume so any further problems, we have it taken care of right here.
Really, it should be.
Rather than 2 readings.
It should be in 2 parts?
Yeah, the waive the reading takes a 2/3 vote, whereas to adopt the ordinance only takes a majority. But to waive the rules takes a super, in other words, 2/3. So it's 2 different motions. First, a motion to waive the rules, and then take one motion at a time. One motion to waive the rules, and then if that passes by a 2/3 vote, then you can go on to adopt it in one reading.
Okay, I
Right.
move to waive and adopt it with one reading.
Motion been made and seconded to waive the rules to adopt in one reading. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You have to have a
Ballot.
Oh, we're gonna cast a ballot?
So there's.
2/3,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Cast your ballots, please. Motion passes unanimously. So now
I
we're going-
move to adopt an ordinance to provide wellhead protection.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to adopt ordinance to provide wellhead protection.
Second.
Any further discussion? Please cast your ballot. Motion passes unanimously.
I move to approve hiring McMahon and Associates for design work on North Water Street and Pearl Street.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve hiring McMahon and Associates for design work of North Water Street and Pearl Street. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion carried unanimously.
I move to approve hiring Archaeological Research Incorporated for investigation of North Water and Pearl Street.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Approve hiring Archaeologists Research, Inc. for investigation of North Water Street and Pearl Street. Any further discussion? Please cast your, oh, hold on. All right, please cast your ballots. Mike? Motion passes unanimously.
I move to approve hiring Heritage Research Limited for historical survey evaluation of North Water Street and Pearl Street.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Approve hiring Heritage Research LTD for historical survey evaluation of North Water Street and Pearl Street. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballots.
And that is
passes.
all I have tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Barrington. Move on to Finance and Personnel with Mr. Fichet.
The Finance and Personnel Committee met on Wednesday, August 5th at 4:30 PM in the council chambers. The meeting was called to order, and a motion was made, approved the agenda. First on the agenda for an action item, Police Chief Schlueter discussed the weather sirens and a process to begin retiring the sirens, noting that most citizens have access to more modern technology to get weather warnings, including cell phones and a various number of apps that people are very, very much connected with today. He recommended continuing minimal repair to the sirens until 2027, stating that he would expect the sirens to last 10 years beyond that time period. Mr. Schlueter also requested use of assigned fund balance currently set aside for the sirens to purchase weather radios and begin a promotional process over the next few years. The promotion process would distribute weather radios to citizens who do not have access to a current means of technology for weather warning. A motion was made and seconded to recommend to council to make minimal repair to the existing weather sirens, but begin a phase out of the siren repair by the year 2027, in a sense, a sunset. If a siren would need extensive repair or replacement prior to then, that siren would then be retired. Also, to allow Mr. Schlueter to use assigned fund balance to purchase weather radios for distribution to citizens as needed. That motion was carried 9-0. And that'll be coming before council tonight. The 2019 year-end audit was presented via Zoom by Brent Nelson, CPA, Johnson Block and Company Incorporated. Mr. Nelson and Finance Director Radke responded to questions asked. Upon completion of questions on the audit, 2019 audit. The committee thanked Mr. Nelson and Finance Director Radke and accepted the audit. Next, a motion was made by Barrington and seconded to recommend to council an amendment to the ordinance under Chapter 2.10, subsection 5, to include ad hoc committees. Carried 9-0. And that motion is in regarding to payment for members of ad hoc committees, such as the other committees that the city maintains. Finance Director Radke talked about her discussion with Mark's staff, Department of Administration, State of Wisconsin, on the economic development loan closure. The committee approved Mrs. Radke to submit ADA projects, street projects, and a final accounting to the state for approval. That information will be brought back to the Finance Committee for approval either at the September 2nd or October 7th meeting. Next, Mr. Horth gave an update on the increase in the 2021 Gold Cross ambulance subsidy. It was reported due to the loss in revenue from 2020, the 2021 subsidy will increase by $37,297.47. Gold Cross will continue to monitor the revenue for the next couple months and decrease the per capita amount if they see increase in their ambulance use. Finance Director Radke reviewed the monthly financial reports. The Financial Director report was discussed. There being no public comment or further business, the meeting was adjourned at 5:42 p.m. Carried 9-0. The next regularly scheduled Finance Committee meeting will be held in the council chambers on September 2nd at 4:30 p.m. Next, Your Honor, I would make a motion to approve minimal maintenance plan for weather sirens, phasing them out by 2027 or sooner if major repairs would be required.
Second.
Motion been made and second to approve minimal maintenance plan for weather sirens, phasing out by 2027 or sooner if major repairs would be required. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballot. Motion pass.
Next, Your Honor, I would make a motion to approve use of assigned fund balance to purchase weather radios to distribute to citizens.
Motion's been made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion been made and second to approve use of assigned fund balance to purchase weather radios to distribute to citizens. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballots. That motion passes unanimously.
Next, Your Honor, I would move to make a motion to approve an ordinance to amend Chapter 2.10, subsection 5 of Municipal Code to compensate ad hoc committees, and in doing such, waive the rules to adopt in one reading.
Second.
Okay, so
Do I need to actually ask first to?
pass. Yep.
Okay.
Just as we did it before.
I thought that, okay.
Yeah.
I make a motion to
Waive the rules.
waive the rules to adopt the ordinance in one reading. Ordinance, again, amending Chapter 2.10, subsection 5 of Municipal Code to compensate ad hoc committees.
Motion been made and seconded to waive the rules to adopt in one reading of the ordinance of Chapter 2.2, subsection 5 of Municipal Code to compensate ad hoc committees. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballot. Motion passes unanimously.
Next, Your Honor, I would make a motion to adopt the ordinance to ad hoc committees to compensation list per section 2.10 sub 5.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt the ordinance to add ad hoc committees to compensation list, Chapter 2.10, subsection 5. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion passes unanimously.
Lastly, Your Honor, I move to approve the license list as presented.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the license list as presented. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion passes 9-0. Moving on, we have the Committee of the Whole. There is no action taken. You all have minutes in your packet, and they'll be stand as read. Same with the City Administrator Hiring Group. Oh, wait a minute, I want to back up to that Committee of the Whole. There is one correction to the minutes. No?
August 4th and the hiring.
Oh, okay, I was, all right. I was in the right spot. All right. City Administrative Hiring Group, there is a correction to the minutes. At the adjournment, John Fache made the motion to adjourn, not Mrs. Dean. And with that being said, we will consider the minutes as read and keep moving on. All right, we are at Parks and Recreation. Mr. Besaw.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Park and Rec Committee met on Tuesday, August 4th. Meeting was called over at 4:45. Approved, the agenda was approved by all. Public comment relevant to items on the agenda. Dorsey expressed concerns and questions behind the city's canceling an upcoming baseball tournament. Discussion and approval of equipment purchases for New London Access. Semple and Chad Harth reviewed a proposal for a camera and equipment upgrades for the cable service. Most of the current equipment is past its useful life and in need of substantial upgrades. The new equipment will be financed out of the cable fund and includes new cameras, lighting, a drone, GoPro camera, new video editing computer, and other accessory pieces. The estimated cost is $23,629.68. Future upgrades, including new cameras for the council room and broadcast servers, will be considered. Motion was made and seconded, and recommended by Dean. The council approve the proposed equipment purchases in the amount of $23,629.68 from the London Access out of the cable fund. The motion was carried by all. That'll be brought to council tonight. Review of the boat launch fees at the Riverside Park. The committee had a discussion about applicable boat launch fees for launching non-motorized boats and fishing rafts. Future discussion will consider defining the fees for launching and retrieving non-motorized boats. No motion was made on this item at this time. Discussion of kayaking opportunities in New London. Mayor Herder led a discussion on promoting kayaking opportunities in New London community. Suggestions were to improve drop-off, pickup location points near the London Dog Park and along the Wolf River shoreline. Mayor Herder asked the committee to work together and have creative minds as how to make this beneficial to make New London stand out to surrounding communities. No motion was made on this item at this time. The director's report and memo. The director's report was included in the agenda packet and reviewed by the committee. A court public survey, please complete the 2020 Park and Recreational Survey and tell us how we are doing or what we can do to make the parks better. The deadline for filling out the survey is Labor Day. A memorial tree for Kent Hager. A tree had been planted in Pfeiffer Park behind the Chamber building in memory of Kent. Service anniversary reports. Luke Hammond, Street Park Superintendent, completed 5 years of service on July 28th. Chairman's report, there is none presented. Committee members' report, there is none presented. Future agenda items, boat launch fees, kayaking opportunities in London. The motion was carried, the motion to adjourn was carried by all. Would ask for discussion and approval of equipment purchases of New London Access in the amount of $23,629.68.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve proposed equipment purchases for New London Access out of the cable fund in the amount of $23,629.68. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion carried 9-0.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Besaw. Moving on to Planning Commission, there was no July meeting. We will move on to Economic Development Committee, Mr. Fred Zog.
Thank you, Mayor Mark. The meeting was held Tuesday, July 28th at 4:30 PM in the chambers, council chambers. Meeting is called to order by Chairman Warnock at 4:30. Todd Hutchison informed the group of his progress since last meeting in regards to the Riverfront Development Project. He stated that he is number 2 on the contract as far as progress. He met with Chad, Judy, and Ann and discussed the library project. Spoke to Phil Cosson, who told him a TIF cannot be used to fund public buildings. Phil told him about the city's debt limit being around 12 to 13 million to keep in good standing. The city has around 9 million of debt currently. This leaves about 3 to 4 million to borrow or bond to remain in good standing. Todd spoke about new scoring for WIDA funding. He spoke about the financial needs for any project at the riverfront. Hutchison's recommendation where are we here? Lost my line. At this time is not feasible. He stated there may be other options to explore. Next step identified to explore the Grant Fisk developers. He also stated the housing study came back. Dave Thiel spoke briefly about membership in the marketing group. He encouraged the city to stick with the co-op to recruit business and residents. Bill Zeinert was present to give a market report update. He spoke about purchases are all categorized and detailed to provide spending and living habits of the residents in county, state, categorized and detailed to provide spending and living habits of the residents in a county, state, or country. This is useful data to target your marketing and capture your demographic, your target. April Kapinski spoke about this being funded by tourism dollars in the past and the tourism committee wanting to have the city pitch in as it has targeting money spent outside of the tourism area. Hertz will be be attending the tourism committee meeting to take part in that conversation. Bill Zeinert will be back in August with more targeted marketing data. The small business COVID grant applications were reviewed. Dorsey Vassay to approve 20 of the 23 grants applied for. Warnock gave a transportation update stating that he will be talking with Cavison to discuss the possibility of getting a bus route in the city. April Kapinski gave her business update. She stated she thinks it's time for the city to make some kind of decision or commitment to move forward with the development of the riverfront. Consensus was to hold a committee of a whole meeting after the finance meeting next week. There's no public comment. We adjourned at 18 p.m.
Is that all you have, Mr. Zog?
Pardon me? That's all I have.
We'll move on to minutes and reports of the Cemetery Commission, Housing Authority, Library and Museum, Police and Fire Commission, Utility, Cemetery, Building Inspector. You all have the minutes in your packets. Any questions? Hearing none, we'll move on. We'll move on to reports of officers on recent events and announcements to the public. Starting off with the mayor and myself. I just ask that the community continue to have patience with the COVID-19 pandemic. Continue to watch out for your neighbors, friends, family, elderly, and stay safe. Thank you. We'll move on to the utility manager.
Thank you, Your Honor. The utilities started a generator at well number 8 and received training on July 22nd. They ran the well for a period of time off the generator. The utility rate case is currently being reviewed by the Public Service Commission. Water crews fixed a leaky service at 303 West Quincy Street on July 23rd. Electric crews have finished services at the wastewater plant and Parkview School. The electric crews picked up a lease truck from the utility sales on the 31st, and we'll be getting back to our pole replacement this month. The electric department is down a journeyman due to a shoulder injury. The office is closed again on August 3rd due to the governor's mask order and the extension of the PSC order for disconnection. Steve Thompson was inducted into the WPPI Joint Action Hall of Fame. This is the organization's highest honor. Water crews this month are exercising valves and metroteching services for mapping. They also fixed a shutoff at 603 Pine Street and accessed a hydrant valve that was buried at 1508 Terra Court. I recommended to my commission that Matt Nitke be promoted to lead lineman. He will start his new role as a leadman today. The PSC extended its order not to disconnect residential customers for non-payment until September 1st. The utility will continue to complete the necessary paperwork and survey information required by the PSC so the utility can qualify to disconnect residential customers starting September 1st following our billing cycles. On August 8th, the line crews repaired a broken cutout on Industrial Loop Road. That cutout fed a transformer that only fed 2 streetlights. On the 9th, water crews responded to a main break at Cook and Shawano Street. They made repairs to that main today. And electric crews responded to an alarm at our Floral Hill Tower for no power at 9:20 a.m. this morning. They found a cutout blown due to lightning hitting the cell tower next to the water tower. Crews replaced the fuse and notified cell carriers of the damage to their equipment on that tower. And I would also like to recognize Tom Fichet for 14 years of service with New London Utilities. And that's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Bassett. Move on to Director of Public Service, Mr. Hirth.
Thank you, Your Honor. This afternoon, I was notified by our contractors of the timeline for the High Street and Industrial Loop Road Railroad crossing improvements. We've been waiting a long time to finally get a timeline from them. I was told today that they plan on starting at the Industrial Loop Road crossing, and if all goes well, they will begin the work next Thursday, August 20th. So next Thursday, August 20th, Industrial Loop Road crossing. Once they finish that one, they're going to flip and go to the High Street crossing and work on that one. So during that time, when they're working on Industrial Loop Road, the detour will go to High Street, and then vice versa. When they're working on High Street, the detour will go on Industrial Loop Road. So I'm going to be working on contacting all the businesses in that area so they can kind of work on notifying their trucking and transports and employees so everybody knows what's going on. We were also notified that the Wisconsin National Guard, Air Force, Army, and Navy will be doing some training, and they're going to be bringing approximately 50 aircrafts to the Camp Douglas area between August 10th and 21st. And I'll read it verbatim. This exercise will include potential supersonic travel within FFA and military guidelines, so people in the military operating area may hear sonic booms between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. during the weekdays. So there might be some fast jets going by making some noise. So if you have residents contact you, that's training. They know what's going on. It's planned. So everything should be okay. And then like Bob read in the Parks and Rec minutes, I just want to remind everybody to fill out that comprehensive outdoor rec plan survey that we have out there. Our staff put out a video on Facebook on it and kind of explains how to get to the survey. We need to do that plan every 5 years because that's a plan that's required by DNR for any type of grants that we apply for. So just within this COVID situation, we're going to an online period for the public input or public survey aspect of it. We need to gather public input for that survey. So we're trying to do it via the survey instead of an in-person type situation. So I recommend that everybody kind of go on there and fill out the survey and give us some good input for that plan. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hurst. Move on to Chief of Police, Mr. Schleter.
Thank you, Your Honor. A couple of things with the weather radios. Kind of one of our first steps to our current plan is to start advertising, so watch our Facebook page. But we're hoping to probably do a lot with the Code Red and the Outagamie ad hoc system to try to get a lot of people signed up. And we can sign you up on your smartphone, your regular cell phone, your home phone, emails, text. There's a whole bunch of different things. So we'll be getting the message out here sometime soon as to how we're going to advance with that. And we'll also work at that time trying to get the weather radios that we have right now. We got about 40 of them as to how we're going to distribute those. So that's the first thing. Second thing is school will actually be starting soon. So I'd just like to remind everyone to make sure we start watching the crosswalks. We watch for kids running across the road, bikes out there. Just be careful because once school starts, the kids will be coming and going quite a bit. So that's what I have tonight, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Next up, we have the Fire Chief, Mr. Wilford.
Thank you, Your Honor. All I have tonight is two surface anniversaries. One is Don Conant, 42 years. The other one is Dave Stibbs, 11 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And with that, we're going to move into closed session per 19.85 subsection 1, subsection G, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved in. And with that, we'll recess for about 5 minutes so we can.
Motion and a second.
Oh, do we? Yep, okay, we need a motion.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded.
Thank you.
Mr. Herder. All, cast your ballots. Nine zero passes. Going to recess, we'll come back in 5 minutes at, what is that, 7:45?